Hello, Ms. Catheropoulos. I hope you're doing well. This is my project. So I'm going to start off with right to a trial by jury. And this is guaranteed to us by the Sixth Amendment. It is used in all federal courts. And juries, they're not used very often. If like the present sentence is 6 months or less, then they're not going to have a full-on jury because I'll just take more time and money and effort, and it's just not needed in that situation. They're heard by a judge in a bench trial. Like for example, this could be like this is like a Judge Judy type of thing. And then to select jurors, they go through voir dire. I probably said that wrong. Where they hire jurors and look to eliminate biases in it. So I know you went through this. You talked about it in class. In like an example, and then like they have like for cause challenge, and they can eliminate like anyone just for any reason, but they have like a limited number of that. And then the next one is right to a speedy and public trial, and this is also brought to us by the Sixth Amendment. And it is to have, or excuse me, it is not clarified what speedy is meant. So courts have like a hard time comprehending with that. So they set time limits for the trial to like make it like speedy. And they do this because without it, an innocent person could be waiting for like 10 years in jail before they even get a trial. But most of the time, they revoke this because of one of their witnesses, one of their more important witnesses is busy at the time, so they can't show up to trial, or they just need more time to prepare. Either it's the defendant or the other guy. So the next one is right to compulsory process and to confront witnesses. And this whole thing is to confront or is to obtain a witness for a defendant. So like if you have like, for example, like a really like a bank robbery type of case, and someone was there to prove your innocence, and like you were like with a friend or something, and they're like, oh yeah, he was at my house, and you could be like a really important source for proving your innocence. I'm probably saying this wrong, but the subpoena court order have some in treaty would be hard, and it would be hard to defend without a witness. So this pretty much like gives you like your ability to get a witness. And freedom, so the next one is freedom from self-incrimination. And you can't be forced to testify yourself in a criminal trial. So, for example, if you were in like court and then the plaintiff asked you to go up and ask you questions, you don't have to. You're not forced to. And even if you like don't do it, they're not allowed to like use that against you as you're not going up. Lost my spot. Then they can't say anything about that. They do not have to answer any questions if the judge sees fit. So you're like, they ask you, for example, like a personal question, and it just doesn't really seem fit to the case. You can be like, I don't feel fit to answer that because it has nothing to do with the trial. And then if the judge approves, you move on to the next question. And anything you say will be used against you, so kind of go. And then there's immunity, and then it can't be based on info provided in the testimony. So person with immunity must answer all questions, even like anything. So like any question they ask, you have to answer with immunity. Prosecutors, after they often use it to force people to testify if they were involved in a crime. And the next one is the right to attorney, and and this was, you know, provided by the Sixth Amendment, and pretty much it's like, let's say you get like arrested for arson or something, and then you're like in jail, and then pretty much like you have the right to a lawyer, right? So you can't afford one. So if you can't afford one, then you can get one on your own. But if you don't, you'll have one provided to you, and that comes from the government. And then the indigent is that they'll supply you one. This pretty much all came to that one movie that we watched, the one with Gideon versus Wainwright, where the guy was like, he knew his rights and he didn't get a lawyer. So that was just an example of how important it can be. And then the criminal appeals is the final one, and this is brought to us by the Fifth Amendment, and it pretty much like protects you from double jeopardy. So like, if you were found innocent for like a murder, you can't go back to trial because that already happened. But you can ask for a mistrial if you feel that, or appeal to a higher court if you feel that something was wrong, like majorly wrong, and you are able to prove it to them. You can have like a retrial due to that mistrial. You can review and ask for another trial with the higher courts. And then and then there's right, and in order from a higher to a lower court, the defendant is being held illegally. So it's like if you're like a lawyer for the defendant, and then you realize that he's like unlawfully being held, then you can make a right and then have this. But just because you make a right doesn't mean exactly that it will be granted. So that's my project. Hopefully see you soon.